Hello and welcome back to the channel. I'm doing a little different setup today, and I'm not in my own regular home, but I'm happy to do a video. As you may have seen the messages, my computer broke down, and I was planning to do some videos last week, but I couldn't. And so I was actually starting YouTube when the computer completely broke down. But anyway, it's in the repair shop, so hopefully it will be fixed soon. In the meantime, I didn't want to live all these weeks with so few videos, and I didn't want to spend another week without any videos. So we're doing this special today. And I take it to talk about number 11 because there is a question in the channel, and one of our viewers wanted to discuss number 11, and they were patiently waiting for us to get to 11. And I'm like, if we have to get to 11, we're in number one. It's going to be very far away. But 11 has two ones, so maybe it's a good opportunity to talk about the number 11 now. So that's my idea. We're going to do this today. And so in a way, this can be part of the course on number one, even though it's the 11. But the 11 it has the qualities of the one, but it has also very specific qualities by itself. And I don't have anywhere to write today. It's going to have to be like this. So it might be beneficial to draw things, but we're going to just do it speaking. Now, number 11. We talked about how generally when we have a number that is greater than 10, we add the two digits together. So if anybody is born on the day 16th, we will do 1 plus 6 is 7. So the number is 7. And 23 would be 2 plus 3 is 5. However, the numbers 10, 11, and 12 are a little bit special. 12 is less so than 10 and 11. Still, there is some qualities of 12 which are quite significant, but with 10 and 11 is different. And when somebody is born on the 11th, for example, or yeah, we respect that 11th and we leave it as an 11th in the quadrant. And we have to understand that 1 plus 1 is 2, so the 11th can become a 2. And so we will also take it into consideration. And that's why sometimes when we are writing somebody's date of birth, when we have the 11, like day 11 or the month 11, we also put a 2 next to it so that we know that sometimes it's going to manifest as a 2. But we have to know that the 11 can be by itself as an 11. Now, when that 11 becomes a 2, actually, as Shiv Charan often says, that it manifests the worst aspects of number 2. And no number is better or worse than any other number. We have been seeing enough in the channel how every number has a karmic side and a dharmic side. And we were talking about number one mainly right now in this course that we were doing on number one. And we talked how number one can be humility. That's the dharmic side. But the karmic side is you make yourself very little. And sometimes, people step over you. So that's like an example of a karmic and a dharmic side. And number two, just like number one, has a dharmic and a karmic side. And when we finish with this course on number one, we will go into the number two and we will have a chance to speak a lot in depth about what are the karmic and the dharmic sides of number two. So we're not going to do this today, but just like a very general overview. Two is flowing, two is water, two is going to be linked to desire and emotions and needs. And so you can take any of these aspects and take it in a karmic or dharmic side, right? So if you take, for example, the flow, that could be like an excess of flow, like a tornado, right? Kind of. Not like a tornado, more like a whirlpool, yeah, because tornado is air, but this is more water, and it can capture you into this whirlpool of water. That's kind of linking between the two and the eight, but more or less, let's say it like that. And then it's water can be carrying toxicity as well. Water can be tainted or stained with some other stuff. So water is healing, but water can be number two could be a problem with healing. So it's problems and it's sickness, and necessities can become addictions. Yeah. So things like that. So number two and eight, actually I'm mixing kind of two and eight. I don't want to draw too much a differentiation between one or the other right now. But let's say that number two can have these two sides, no? Like two in the terms of water can be dharmic or can be karmic. So when somebody who has an 11th in the date of birth, or you are exploring number 11 for whatever reason outside of the date of birth, when that 11 becomes a two, it's going to be more like the karmic side of the two. And actually, for anybody who has an 11 anywhere, actually, I have an 11 in my month. I was born in November. The challenge is to make sure that you manifest the 11 qualities of that month, right? So not to fall into the two. Allow the 11 to manifest. And well, that's sometimes easier said than done, but that's the promise, right? When we have a number in the date of birth is telling us, look, there's a promise. You have these qualities in potential. The potential of them are there. So you can learn how to grow there and how to manifest those qualities. We will talk about these qualities in a moment. Yeah. And sometimes the journey is to go from the two, the 11 becoming a two, to the 11. So to going from the two to the 11. And to do that, there is a sequence that moves from the 2 to the 11. So I'm going to talk a little bit about this sequence before I'm going to talk about more details of what the 11 is and its characteristics. But if we look at the grid of 9, Sadnam, Tanya, you just like 11 a lot. All right. So this is good. Then you're gonna be exploring the 11th today for you. You just like it, you don't have any 11 in the date of birth, or you weren't born in the 29th, maybe, or something like that. Because if you were born in the 29th, that would also be relevant. So the sequence to move from the 2 to the 11th, you can see it in the grid of 9. Actually, it would have to be the grid of 12. But okay, it would be easier to draw it. I don't have my paper. I don't have a second camera. This is I'm traveling, so I just have to do it like this. You have to choose. Okay, so then the importance of leaving the dharmic side of the two is very relevant. And then if you're interested about the 11, then that's curious. And I would where do you come with 11? Is it in your life? Is it like maybe you are in the house 11, or your phone number is 11 or something like that? How is it manifesting for you? So if you look at the grid of 9, I'm going to try to draw it spatially here in the air, and you're going to have to visualize it, right? So it's like, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we put the grid of 9 like this. We see that there is 1, 4, and 7 on the left, 3, 6, and 9 on the right, and in the middle there is 2, 5, 8. And if we carried on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So you would see that there is an 11 following the middle line up. So if we look at the grid of 9, if we imagine it, the numbers in the middle are 2, 5, 8, 11. Hopefully that was clear. Its prime number, I like how it looks. Oh, okay. So how it looks is a big clue of the qualities that it contains. So we're gonna explore those in a moment. But what does it say to you, Tanya? These two parallel lines of the 11. Does it say something to you? Have you meditated upon the shape of them, and have you reflected upon what does it mean, the way it looks? What does it mean for you? And yeah, and then we will also see that there is a number of meditations and postures that we do that are going to be tuning us in to those the qualities of the 11. For example, if we are doing a meditation like this, which in Kundalini we do quite a few. So when you are in this mudra, there is the two ones. These are the two ones, and being parallel to each other next to your sides, then you are exploring number 11. This is a meditation I did for a long time. This is one I enjoy. It's one of them, and I was exploring number 11 through this meditation. So that's an interesting one. But anyway, okay, so let's look at this sequence 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So taking the middle numbers 2, 5, 8, 11. All right. What does that mean? Well, it means that there is a certain journey going from the 2 to the 11th And every level up, 2 to the 5, 5 to the 8, is like a refinement of the previous level. And going from the 2 to the 5, it needs the support of the numbers on the next to it. So the 1 and the 3 are supporting the 2 to get to the 5. The 4 and the 6 are giving support to the 5 to get to the 8. It would be quite nice to explore this with some examples. I think it would be easier with paper. It's harder speaking. So I'm not going to go into too much detail on how those numbers give support, but let's talk about these middle numbers by themselves. 2, 5, 8, 11. Now, the 2, the 8, and the 11 show the polarity. Yeah, you see number 2 is two numbers, so it's duality, but also polarity, because it's two aspects. It doesn't have to be polarity, but when we are in the number 2, in the more karmic side, generally expresses itself as duality more than polarity. And again, we will explore more the details of the difference between polarity and duality when we get to number 2. But it's good to start meditating upon this. So that's number 2. Number 5, sometimes we draw it like a yin yang, yeah, with a square and a curvy side. And so yin yang is also it's Taoism, a symbol from Taoism, but represents this polarity of yin and yang. And then number 8 has two sides as well. Yeah, like with the two circles that join together in the middle, and that's the symbol of infinity. And when we go to the 11, is two ones, which you can draw the 8 around them. You could draw the infinity symbol around the two ones. So we can see that the whole sequence 2, 5, 8, 11 is a lot about linked to polarity. And in fact, you could see it in a way as we come from a place of duality with the two, which is a problem. Yeah, duality means a problem. And then through 5, through speech and connecting the two sides, that this is going to be transcending. Saddam Karim, hello. Good to see you here. And I think it was you who was asking about the 11, right? So this video is for you. Tell us how you're interested about the 11. That would help for me to do the video and the conversation. So the number 2, it represents this duality. And as we go through the 5, and 5 is connecting through the middle point and connecting. So that's 5 is going to help to find the points that they have in common. Duality means like a fight to one against the other. And as we go up 2 to the 5 to the 8 to the 11, so that fight has to be resolved in some way. So 5, communication, is what helps to be connecting both sides in a way that they are not in a fight one against the other. And so we explore how polarity can be in balance, not imbalanced, in balance. So that's how duality becomes a polarity in balance, and we find the paradoxical aspect that is going to connect both. There is a lovely work that we do on this on the level 2 of Kundalini Yoga, where we are exploring relationships and how the polarity of male and female, particularly when we are in a partnership, in a couple, but also fail male and female, from one side and the other, right? Even if it's not just a couple, but there is always some polarity when you deal with somebody else. So one is more yin, the other one is more yang, and that is a dynamic that can change over time. But that's a very common dynamic. One has more yin, the other one has more yang. Well, that polarity doesn't have to be a conflict, but that often turns as it goes down into the two, because it's two people, right? So there's two people, there's a polarity, but as it goes into the conflict, it goes into the karmic duality. So 2 to the 5 to the 8 to the 11 is transcending the conflict and finding the point that connects both of them. And it's not a compromise, because that's a thing. There is 3 errors that we do when we try to find a balance in a polarity. And one of them is to find compromise. That doesn't work. Like, I think an example is like, maybe your partner wants to go to the movies and you want to go for a walk, but at the end you don't find a commitment, a decision that you can both be happy with. So you find a compromise. You watch a movie at home, maybe, and then nobody's happy, right? So compromises are not always very um, useful. Actually, they are they can be containing the conflict can be still contained within that, so it doesn't help. But there is ways to find a balance between polarities in a way that they paradoxically stay in a state of balance and harmony and not fall into a duality. And if we took qualities of our inner qualities, because we can do this with ourselves as well, taking a duality within us. Let's say I have issues with laziness. It's hard to activate myself to do things, and I feel I procrastinate a lot. Let's say I'm now would I be exploring number nine, or like a lot of activity and a lot of things to do, and pressure within myself to do all these many things, which is also a number nine. Yeah, the pressure and the many things, and that's an active nine. So one is more like passive, like laziness, and the other one is more active. And well, that's a duality within you, but you can learn to find a paradoxical point between both, where you put the relaxation and the activity together next to each other, and you find a paradox that joins them. So an example would be I actively relax, right? Laziness is a passive relaxation where you are not doing things that you would like to do, and you fall into that tamasic state, asleep, and then you wake up and then you feel bad because you didn't use the time. But how about actively choosing to relax and to do an active relaxation, like sort of like yoga nidra, for example, no? Like these relaxations we do after a yoga class is not to fall asleep, is to actively relax the body. So that's a good paradox. Or as you are active in the world in the day, doing a lot of stuff, still be able to relax yourself into that activity. So that's another way that we can put the activity and the relaxation in a paradoxical harmony rather than finding a compromise. That's an example on how to elevate a paradox. Sorry, through a paradox, how to elevate from a duality to a polarity. Let's see a few messages in the chat. With fight, you mean the opposition of the you, which is not me, because two is you before me. I learned it's a number of subservience or interdependence. With fight, it can be, for example, two people like you and your partner, and you are fighting each other, and that happens very much with aspect of number two, because two can be liquid is water, and that can create the juices that help establish the relationship through even attachment is part of those juices that help to attach to each other. But then at some point, when you are so close to each other, sometimes it becomes like a fight of two cobras, right? One against the other. And that's the fight that can be two. So we do with somebody else. And then the subservience and interdependence can also be part of this. Like one will feel subservient to the other, or you feel dependent on the other and the other feels dependent on you. And a little bit of dependency is fine, is necessary even within couples to stay together. Like attachment, it can be okay. It's not if you are looking for just independence and just serve my own self, then well, okay, what's the other one doing in your life, and how do you complement each other in a way? No, so that could be with somebody else, but it can also be within us, with two aspects within us, like the activity and relaxation. I was just giving an example, like two parts of me, one that likes to relax, but then it falls into passivity, the one that likes activity, but then it's too much pressure. How can they coexist together? Tanya says, oh, I'm definitely a duality, super active and doing chaotically too many things, right? Okay. So that's the thing. You can take whatever qualities is happening in you, and if it's a problem, and generally when we talk about duality, we talk about problems. Number two is the number of problems, and you can learn to find a balance between different aspects. So, for example, you talk about chaos. If life is you experience your life too much as chaos, and you would like to have more order, but it's hard to put order into life, you may be able to explore a paradox of combining chaos with order. How to do that? Well, one way could be, for example, to order, to put within your order some space for chaos. So, for example, let's say your room is everything has its own place, but then you allow yourself, this is the drawers of chaos. In those drawers, anything goes. You can do anything in those drawers. You look at the wardrobe, everything is very clear. These are the dresses, these are the trousers, whatever, everything very, very clear. They go by long sleeves, short sleeves, everything is clear. But then as you go to the drawers, you say to yourself, like, and these drawers are going to be the drawers of chaos. And you allow yourself that, no? And that's a good way to balance both aspects within you. And it's just an example, yeah. But how we have our own room and how we have our clothes, which is the things we put on, that's very significant. How we have our own bedroom says a lot about our state of mind and our state of inner being, the whole house itself. So you can order the chaos, so put the chaos in order. Yeah, allow yourself the chaos in that area. So that's allowed, right? Or if you're planning your week and you're putting things that you need to do on Monday, on Tuesday, and you put set up meetings and schedule things, and then leave some spaces for chaos. Chaos breeds creativity. So it's fundamental. I believe Walt Disney talked about this. I don't remember what was the quote, but I remember he was talking about how without chaos there is no creativity. So if you want to express your artistic side, which is a very feminine quality, a yin thing, it's also yin, like the water, like the two, but this is more going into the four. But if you want to go into that four, you have to allow some of the chaos. And actually, I'm not talking two to the four, I'm talking more eight to the six. Yeah. So the eight is the opposite of the two, the six is the complement of the four. So one of the sequences, 2 4 1 3. In the other side, in the impersonal side, is 8 6 9 9 7. So eight is chaos. Yeah. So through chaos, you can find the sixth art. So you can, but then that's the thing with order, right? So you can order, you put order into your life so that there is some chaos, so that the art can also have an effect. I don't know if I explained it properly, but that would be another example, just taking the comments that you were giving. Let me see, there's a few more messages. You love the idea of the chaos drawers. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because yes, my drawers are obsessively in order. Yeah. So I was like this when I was very little. My room was everything had its place. The pens had to be aligned and so on. And when I would go to the university to study many years later, I would, my table had to have, the pens here and the books here, and the order in the table helped me to focus. But even from when I was very little, I always allowed some chaos. So there was the drawer of chaos. That's something that I don't know where I got it, but now I see the wisdom in that. I was very little, but I got that's the chaos of the drawer of chaos. And if you don't know where to put something, you put it in the chaos, and that's fine. If you sometimes you don't find something, you look in the chaos drawer, and that's kind of fine to know that there's a part of you that is chaotic and that it's accepted and it's integrated even within the whole of my personality. More messages in my journey being 11 2, yeah, has so far meant learning to draw a healthy boundary and not sublimate others' needs before mine. So, unless mistaken, to discover the one in me, express my needs. Oh, yes. All right. Yeah, that's very important. Yeah. So, number two is the number of needs. And number two is also the number of obedience. So are you obeying your needs? Are you obeying somebody's needs? Are you fulfilling those needs? Or do you feel with a void within because you feel that you need to satisfy somebody's needs before your needs? And what are real needs? Who needs that? Is it the ego or is it the self? So that 11, and you were talking about the fight within us as well. You can see that 11 in us also between the real me, the real self, the true self, and the false self, the ego. Yeah. So there is this fight between the ego and the Atman, yeah, the soul, and there is always this um, two aspects, which can be like a number two and a fight. And who has the needs? Is it my ego who needs this? Like when we need approval, or we need recognition, or we need people to see us for what we are or for what we do? That's the ego who needs that. Does your soul need recognition? No. You can just express who you are, shine your light, right? And if nobody appreciates it, who cares? You are shining your own light. So that would be it. Satnam Sohel, hello and welcome to the conversation. Very dynamic conversation today about number 11. And Karim says, Tanya, do you relate putting the needs of everyone ahead of mine resulted in a lot of self-harm? Okay, so that also is connected to the one within the 11. Because when you put somebody before you, you're making yourself very small. And very small is the quality of the one. We know it can be a virtue to be humble and make yourself small. But if you make yourself one in such a way that you don't matter in front of somebody else's, and somebody else's matters more than me, and I value their needs more than mine, and I try to serve them from that place, then we are, in a way, crushing our own soul, our own seed. Yeah, our own self-value is like we have no value. And that's more like the karmic one. So the 11, remember, when it turns a 2, it becomes more like the karmic 2, but the one within the 11 also has to stay dharmic. And we may be small, but we have value. And it says, I had other causes. I was suppressing my needs in order to prove something to others. Yeah, exactly. I didn't even read the message, but that's exactly the need for approval, right? So I had not read that message yet, but I was already going in that direction, which is what Tanya suggests, that we do things for others to get their approval. And that often comes because of a feeling that I'm not enough. That's the number 2. I'm not enough. So just by being myself, it's not enough to win their favor or to win their love, right? Even the concept of winning somebody's love is kind of a little bit, mind game in there. But we do things for others so that they want to be with us. And that is because we are not confident in who we are. And we just love who we are and we do what we have to do out of the expressing our own light. So yeah, that need for approval, that's coming from the ego. And that can come into conflict with the true needs of ourselves, what we truly need, linked now to the soul. And so the soul may need to shine, but maybe if we shine, we are scared to outshine others or to have too much visibility. And then we feel others deserve it as well, or maybe even before us. And then we don't allow ourselves to shine because of the consequences that it could have. And so we suppress our own light just to make sure that we don't create any conflict with others. So that's also linked to this quality. So we are identifying some of the issues of the 2 as a karmic side, and we have to go to 5, 8, and 11. Another example of this is in another video I did some time ago about sexuality. You may have watched that video. If not, I recommend it. And I mentioned how sexuality is generally assigned to the second chakra, so where the sexual organs are. So that's number 2. However, there is a way to put sexuality in balance with spirituality. This is like the paradox, yeah? And the journey is 2, 5, 8, 11. So sexuality, sensuality, sensitivity, spirituality. Yeah, I said again. So 2, 5, 8, 11. Yeah. Sexuality, sensuality, sensitivity, and spirituality. And it's a journey of refinement. And it's not a coincidence that we say that the sexual energy that is within around the area of the second chakra, that's where the Kundalini lies asleep. And as the Kundalini Shakti wakes up, which is an energy, but it's also like an awakening of consciousness, which is another conversation we were having in the comments of YouTube videos, all the YouTube videos. Some people were asking me, why do I talk so much about energy when it was an issue of love? And well, this is a good example, the love, the expression of love through sexuality and spirituality, and how there is an energy, it's a powerful energy, it's called Kundalini Shakti. Awakening this energy awakens the consciousness, and as the energy elevates through us, yeah, it's going through us. And I'm not necessarily talking about sublimation of the sexual energy. I'm not talking about that, but it's about elevating this Kundalini Shakti as it touches the crown within us. And in numbers, we're going 2, 5, 8, 11. We are touching spirituality. And then something the sense, and what the sense is our spirit, which comes into the heart opens, and then we are glowing with love. Yeah. So the end result is that love, but we have to go through the challenges that we are in coming out of that karmic too. Like, for example, the putting somebody's needs ahead of mine. You can see that a lot in sexuality as well. So 2, 5, 8, 11. If you want to explore more of this, there is that video where we go in more detail. And let's see, Tanya asked, what is the difference between sensuality and sensitivity? Yeah, we have that goes in that video. We explore it. It's called sexuality and spirituality. But basically, sensuality is about sensual, and sensitivity is about sensitivity is sensation. So sensual is about the senses, the five senses. That's why it's number 5, 2, 5. And the sensitivity is about sensing, like empathy or compassion. Yeah, feeling compassionate for somebody else, feeling empathy for somebody. That's more in the realm of number 8. So we are going through the senses, the five senses of the five. We refine those senses to be able to connect to what other people are sensing. Yeah, then that's empathy. And that's my sensitivity, perceiving what others are sensing. Like when you open your through your meditation in yoga, you open your sensitivity, you become more sensitive through sound, through meditation, to my breath. And then as you come into the external world, you are sensing what's happening outside, and you are sensing people's emotional instability or craziness or whatever issues are going around. You sense them, and now that's when the challenge happens, that you have to realize that whatever you are sensing is not necessarily you. You are sensing what's happening around you. So you may be coming out of your house. When you are doing your practice at home, you are very calm. When you come onto the street, you feel all this craziness around and you feel, oh my God, I'm so imbalanced. Wait, are you imbalanced, or are you sensing the imbalance that is around? So you have to make sure that you realize that the sensitivity allows you to perceive things from the outside and to be able to recognize them, like, this is not me. Yeah, that's coming from the outside. So that's kind of connected, and through that universality of what's happening around us, then we come into the spirituality. So there is this connection, but we go in more depth in that video. Karin says it sounds like one is towards the inside and the other towards the outside. Yes and no, because sensitivity, the five senses, I mean, the main the main reason why we have the five senses is to interact with the outside world. And actually, if we look at Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, he tells us that it is the main way in which we lose ourselves. When we are meditating, our senses pull us away from the inside to listen to sounds outside, or to physical sensations about things that are, it may seem inside, but it's about the outside. Yeah. Like my trousers are uncomfortable, or things like that. And the eyes are looking the outside, and they are being captured. Oh, look at this beautiful Buddha. He's a beautiful Buddha. And then your eyes go towards the Buddha, and then you are distracted. You are not staying within. So the senses are there to connect my inner world with the outer world, but mainly they are pulling us out. And Maya utilizes our senses to seduce us into Maya, yeah, to into the illusion, yeah, into getting lost into the world. And so, in a way, the senses are there to go out. At the same time, Patanjali tells us, well, before you meditate, you need to bring them in. That's pratyahara, bringing the senses inward and synchronizing towards my inside, towards myself. All right. Okay, so 2, 5, 8, 11, and we've seen plenty of examples already, and we've seen the journey that we have to do. Now, I mean, we're going to have to know more about number 5. We already did a course on number 5, so we know what number 5 is. Next course will be on number 2, so we will see more clearly what the qualities of the 2 are, so we know how to do 2 to the 5. The 11 is going to come later on, but let's explore a little bit more about this 11. Sorry, the 8 will come later on. Let's talk a little bit more about this 11. What does 11 mean? And I think a good way to explore it is through the examples we have already been mentioning, because we already talked about, for example, when does this polarity manifest, like in a couple, for example. So let's explore what the 11 would mean in that couple. Well, number 11 is two ones, and the two ones are very straight, parallel to each other. So in a couple, it would be like, I am one and you are one. This concept of, I don't know, is it in English too? I don't know if it exists, this expression in English. In Spanish, we say to look for the other half of the orange. Mi media naranja. It's called like that. It's like somebody who is looking for somebody else who's going to be like the other half of your orange. But that expression is like, I'm not complete. And I need the other one to be complete. And yeah, it's like from an expression of emptiness and need, right? Which is there. It's fine. We have some needs. But how about rather than meeting another half, meeting another whole? Yeah, so that's two ones. One and one complementing each other, but in parallel to each other, don't not adding them together. So remember, when we add the one and the one, they become a two. When it becomes a two, it can be very sexually exciting, passionate, but it can quickly become two snakes fighting with each other. Remember, number two is where the Kundalini lives, right? So it can be two snakes fighting at each other. So can we keep the two ones in balance? And part of this is learning to not resolve the tension, okay? Not resolve the tension, because in particular in a couple, the sexual tension is helps us to stay next to each other. And I don't know if I have any rubber band nearby. We will explore more in number two, but there is this tension in the couple, and it's a healthy tension. And one pulls from here, then the other one moves, and one pulls from here, the other one moves, and we do like a dance, yeah, both dancing together. Karin says that's from Plato. I think it's my other half. I'm not sure fruit are involved in English. In Spanish are oranges. We are oranges. If you didn't know, now you know. My other half. So that's fine. I didn't know it was from Plato. Thank you, Karim. And okay, so this Taoist concept, yeah, of yin and yang in the couple is very important, that we hold that sexual tension. If one is always trying to get close to the other to resolve the tension, the other one loses the interest, which is typical in a young couple. Yeah, one the girl is going after the guy, and the guy is not interested. No, and the girl is, come on, will you go out with me? The guy doesn't want to know anything. And the girl, oh, I'm alone. And the guy, wait, aren't you interested? It's like, what? You really are? No, 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 I'm okay. And then, but okay, I'm going away. And like, don't go away. You were going after me, right? So they are like pulling at each other from this rubber band, yeah, which is called sexual tension. And then let's say when you are in a couple, especially a young couple, when it's starting, the sexual tension can be very strong, and it's actually very healthy to have it there. We're in a healthy two, right? Two, it doesn't mean only a problem. Two is a healthy two. But then as we are getting closer, right? Don't lose the tension, because often couples which get very close, then there is no tension. And if there is no tension, what is holding the couple? So can you get closer but still holding a strong tension, but also without fully meeting, because then the tension is gone, and then there's too much attachment, like one sticking to the other, and at some point this is too much. So the tension is needed, but the space and the distance, let's say, the distance is also needed. And that's what holds one, 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 and they are both playing together. And the image of this, I love the image of the rail lines. Yeah, when you look at the rail lines where a train is on, and you see the two metal bars that go on, and as one metal bar turns, the other one has to turn as well. As this one turns, the other one has to turn. And a mature couple, a couple who have been through some things in life, as one moves, the other one is moving with it. And they are constantly adjusting to the terrain, the obstacles that come into in front of the couple. They are able to, move around the obstacles and overcome them by walking in the same direction. If one tries to go in a different direction, then this is you can hear the train about to derail, yeah, because it's gonna be crashing. But if one tries to go too close to the other, also the train is gonna be derailed. So you have to keep that perfect balance of both, and it's like a dance. So can you find the dance within the polarities? You could call it the dance of polarities. That's kind of a nice has a nice ring to it. And so if you look at the two lines and you say, well, but then there is always this tension in between. There is always a gap, and therefore there's always emptiness and needs and void. I said yes and no, because these two straight lines, if you look at these old movies, um, going into the sunset, and they are in the train, and the young couple are finally going towards the sunset, and then the words "the end" appear. But before the end appear, you can see the straight lines of the train. Yeah, they've been going through a lot of bends, yeah, through the path. But then finally, as they stabilize and they go on towards the sunset, in the distance, in the horizon, you see the two lines meet. Yeah, right where the sun is setting, in the distance, you see the two lines meet. And it's kind of like an illusion because you never get there because you keep on going and the lines are always parallel. But the promise is there that the two lines are meeting. And where they meet, there is one light. There is the light of the sunset. And that's a beautiful metaphor to express the number 11 in a couple, how you go through the duality and polarity of life, the two, and then you find the meeting point, that's the five, and to the sensitivity of one sensing what the other is needing and being able to be there for the other, and the empathy of the eight. And you are refining and refining and refining that until you get to the subtle 11, in which both lines are parallel. And in the day of the sunset, the day of the sunset, that light is going to merge. And that's why in the yogic texts, it is expressed that marriage is the ultimate set of marriage is when there's one light and two bodies. So that's the sunset, yeah, one light and two bodies, yeah, one light sharing the light, yeah, the light of consciousness, the light of the soul. They are touching together, merging together, and there's still two physical bodies getting there. That's a beautiful image I find, and one that explores and gives a very good idea of what this 11 can mean. So that's a good example with relationships, but you can extend this to other things as well. You can explore how number 11, this parallelism of you and something else, it doesn't have to be your partner. That's also very present if you think about you and God, for example, or you and the soul, if you wish. Yeah, the ego and the soul, and the ego, which has to be refined, but also what is the ego and what can I be in balance with. Let's talk about the soul. Sorry, me and God. Yeah, being next to each other. One moment. Tanya says, one light and two bodies. Beautiful. Yeah, 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 yeah. I don't know the actual phrase in Gurmukhi, but I think the term they use is jyoti. Jyoti is a ray. It's a small ray of light. Yeah, like an inner light, like the inner light. So ekajot. That's one light. I can't remember the exact quote, but I'm sure you could find it. So there's me and my partner, but there can be also like me and God. And I think a lot of the journey of us humans in the spiritual path is to put us in relationship to the divine. We start this spiritual path, and many of us come from a place of doubt, possibly even agnosticism or rejection of anything divine or anything spiritual, and living life as if life is kind of meaningless. I mean, someday you will die and then that's it. Nothing will continue and we will cease to exist, and that's it. That's kind of like a meaningless existence. And somehow we feel something in us that compels us to move towards meditation and try to explore. There has to be something else. There has to be something bigger and greater than us. And if we open ourselves in spite of the doubt, if we can open ourselves to have a real experience, we can start to have a feeling and a connection that there is something that truly goes beyond. And if we, as we start to connect to that thing that goes beyond, then we have to be confronted with the concept of God, or what we think is God, or the word that we use. Maybe even the word is painful. To say God is painful for some people, and you may have to heal that preconception that we have, that we received as children about what God is, and to actually meet what God is, to meet the divine. And so there is me and there is God. There is God and there is me. That's, you can recognize now a mantra that we sometimes chant in Kundalini. Yeah, God and me and God are one. So there is me, one. There's God, one. I'm a little one. God is a big one. Yeah, but we are in balance and we are together. And I am parallel to God. And I may be a little one, but I am a one, and one matters, right? So there is these two ones, and I'm going to be walking side by side in parallel to the divine. And when I do my practice, I'm going to be tuning into that divine. I do my own Namo Gurudev Namo. When I am walking in the street, I keep within me the parallel line of the divine principles. Yeah? What are the divine principles? When I am in a situation and it's confronting me to act in some way that I'm not sure what to do, I remind myself, which are the 10 virtues, which are the 10 principles? What would I do here? Or what would Patanjali say about the yamas and niyamas, right? What is the code of conduct, which is a good way to connect to this divine law? So that's a way for always keeping in balance, line side to side, yeah, one by the side of God. And another way that you do this is through your breath. Yeah, you are breathing, and every breath is the name of God. Yeah, Satnam or Wahuru or Om Soham or Soham or whatever you use in your breath. Every breath with a consciousness. This is it. There is something divine. There is something divine in us. There is something divine everywhere. Can I be tuned into that divine? That's keeping the line, keeping the parallel lines. And if we are in balance and in harmony with that one, when a new situation comes and it challenges us to ask, what are you going to do in this situation? Then if you keep your breath and you are keeping Sohan, you are still vibrating that within. When the moment comes, if you are in parallel, if God moves, you know which way you have to move, right? Life happens and then God moves, then you know how to have to move. And yoga even says, when you have achieved that perfect balance, that elevated yogi, when the yogi moves, God also moves. So God has no other chance but to move with you. So that's like God and you and God are one. And that's the maximum expression of 11. So Tanya, it's interesting. There is a kriya for transforming sexual fluids into life force, and it uses me and God, God and me are one. Yes, after physical exercises, and then it excludes meditation. Yeah. The mantra says God and me and God are one. Yeah, it starts with God. First God. God is the big one, then me is the little one. You understand this kriya now better? Indeed, that kriya is going to 5, 8, 11. 5 means transformation. 2 is sexual fluids. 2, 5, 8. 8 is the vitality, the prana, the life force. So you see, the very title is doing 2, 5, 8. Taking to where? To the 11. Yeah, 11 is the big one. And that's the God and Mimi and God are one. But also Ekonkar is the journey that we go together. So yeah, numbers help us to understand Kriyas a lot. It's indeed useful. And when you put it into the context like this, the grid of 9, you can understand much better what's the Kriya doing and what's every step of the Kriya. Because we cannot skip one number. We cannot skip the 5 or the 8, right? Without the transformation, we cannot go to the empathy. We need that 5 in the middle. Or if you can do 2, 5, you cannot jump to the 11. You need 8 in between. So those are little clues that the numbers give us on every step. So that's my little take for today for on number 11. Hopefully it was useful and you found a little bit more meaning in the qualities. And thank you, Karim and Tanya, especially also Sohail and everybody who may be watching. But thank you for interacting. It helps the conversation. If you notice when you talk, I can interact with you and the conversation flows really well. So I'm glad that you are all here, and thank you everyone for supporting. Thank you for your patience with the videos. They are coming very regularly. Hopefully the computer is fixed soon and I can come back to regular streaming. But for today, that's all. Thank you very much. Many blessings, and I'll see you next time. Hasta luego. Gracias.